The morning had been unusually heavy, the kind that settled on the shoulders like an invisible weight, refusing to be shaken off. Alexander Reeve, one of the youngest billionaires in the country, had woken up feeling a strange pull in his chest, an instinct he had learned never to ignore. His schedule was packed, meetings lined up back to back, yet something urged him to return home earlier than planned. His private jet touched down hours ahead of his itinerary, and as his car rolled through the long stone driveway of his mansion, he couldn't help feeling that the silence inside those walls was waiting for him, as if hiding something he wasn't supposed to see. That feeling only grew colder when he opened the front door and sensed a tension that didn't belong. Backhand index pointing right before the story unfolds further. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and humanity, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Thread. Alexander had built his empire from nothing but the foundation laid by a woman who never had children of her own yet found him abandoned on a street corner 27 years ago and chose to raise him as her own. Margaret Reeve, his adoptive mother, was his anchor, the only softness in a world that often demanded hardness. Even after his rise to unimaginable wealth, he kept her close, moving her into his home so she would never be alone. But over the months, his wife, Elena, had begun to subtly push against that closeness. Elena had always loved luxury, elegance, and control, but lately her eyes lingered longer on the things money could buy and shorter on the things that truly mattered. Still, Alexander had convinced himself it was just pressure, just stress, just temporary distance. He had no idea how wrong he was. As Alexander stepped deeper into the house, he noticed the faint sound of a glass being set down, the soft rustle of fabric, and then, just barely, the muffled sound of someone struggling to breathe steadily. The air felt wrong. The light filtering through the windows seemed too cold. His instincts sharpened. He walked toward the living room, each step echoing through the empty halls, and what he saw when he reached the doorway made his entire world tilt off its axis. His mother, Margaret, was tied to a chair with rope wrapped harshly around her torso, her head bowed from exhaustion and distress. Her breathing was shallow, and her hands trembled in her lap. Across from her sat Elena in a shimmering gold dress, legs crossed, holding a glass of champagne casually in her hand, her expression disturbingly calm, as if she were simply waiting for him. Alexander froze. For a moment, the world narrowed into a single point of disbelief. He had never imagined such a scene in his home, a scene that looked like cruelty, dominance, and betrayal woven together. Elena did not look shocked to see him. Instead, she lifted her chin slightly, a small, controlled expression that spoke more loudly than any words ever could. And Margaret kept her gaze lowered, as though ashamed, as though she blamed herself for something she had never caused. Alexander's thoughts raced. He tried to understand what could possibly lead his wife to such an act. Elena had always been elegant, poised, the kind of woman who entered a room and owned it effortlessly. But beneath that beauty, he now saw something he had missed, a hunger for power, not love. She had been tightening her grip on the household, pushing Margaret away, making decisions Alexander never questioned because he had been too occupied with his empire to notice the shift in tone, the shift in hearts. As he rushed to untie his mother, his hands shook with the hurt of 1,000 silent realizations. Margaret's frail form leaned into him the moment the rope loosened. Her eyes, usually warm and full of quiet strength, were now dimmed by fear. He held her as though she were the only thing in the world keeping him steady, whispering comfort into the air even though neither of them spoke aloud. Everything he believed about his marriage started to crumble. He saw now how blind he had been, how Elena's charm had clouded his judgment, how her soft words had masked a colder truth. After helping Margaret to her room and ensuring she was safe, Alexander returned to the living room where Elena remained seated, still poised, still composed, as if nothing significant had happened. But when he looked at her now, he saw the emptiness behind the elegance. He saw a woman who valued wealth more than humanity, power more than love, control more than compassion. That realization pierced him deeper than any knife. In the hours that followed, Alexander made decisions he never imagined he would have to make. He called his lawyers, removed Elena's access to his accounts, canceled her influence over the household staff, and ensured that she would no longer have the ability to hurt the only woman who ever loved him without conditions. The fallout was painful, intense, and public. But through every step, Alexander held on to one truth: Margaret's safety, dignity, and well-being mattered more than any empire, more than any marriage, more than any illusion of perfection. As days passed and Margaret slowly recovered, Alexander found himself spending more time with her than he had in years. He realized how much he had drifted away, distracted by success and blinded by comfort. Now, sitting by her bedside, he remembered the nights she had stayed up to soothe him, the sacrifices she made without complaint, and the quiet wisdom she taught him about kindness. She never once asked for anything in return. She only ever wanted him to become a good man, a kind man, a man who used his power not to dominate but to protect. Margaret's voice, though soft, carried a strength that settled something inside him. Life had given him a second chance to be the son she deserved, and he intended to honor that. He rebuilt his home with a new set of values, ones shaped not by wealth, but by humility. He renovated an entire wing for her comfort, hired gentle caregivers, and spent his evenings in conversations with her that reminded him of who he truly was beneath the billionaire title. As his relationship with his mother deepened again, Alexander felt something inside him shift. For the first time in a long time, he saw clearly. He realized that love wasn't built in marble halls or expensive gifts. It lived in small acts of compassion, in the way he held his mother's hand while she rested, in the silent apologies he whispered for not seeing sooner what she had endured. Life had tested him, and though the betrayal from Elena cut deep, it also opened a path toward healing, redemption, and a renewed understanding of loyalty. And as Margaret regained her strength, Alexander made her a promise, to protect her, to cherish her, and to never again let the shadows in his home go unnoticed. Together, they rebuilt not just a house, but a bond, restoring warmth to a place that had temporarily grown cold. Backhand index pointing right. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Thread so we can continue spreading kindness and humanity through powerful stories. Before the story ends, tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you were in Alexander's place? In the end, Alexander learned that true wealth isn't counted in billions, it's found in the people who would never betray you, even when the world tests you. And when he looked at his mother, resting peacefully, he knew he had found the greatest treasure of his life.